Well, if you caught the paper review this morning, there is enough there to alarm you. Many of the stories are being taken from what was said on the floor of the Senate yesterday. Look at this one from New Telegraph. Insecurity, Nigeria's corporate existence under threat. That's according to the Senate. If you also look at what is on the front page of, is it Leadership now? Rising attacks on police may lead to full-scale insurgency in Southeast. That's also coming from the Senate. Senate on insecurity is what Blueprint has. Nigeria under siege of murderous non-state actors is also on their front page. So yes, the dailies do give you sufficient grounds as to why we're talking about this one this morning. And we have a former senator here with us. Senator Ayo Arishe is a former chairman, House Committee on Privatization. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. I don't know if you have had time to peruse the papers this morning, or if you caught the debate on the floor of the Senate yesterday, especially when they were talking about small and light weapons. And they say we have about 350 million of the 500 million, making rounds in West Africa. 350 million of them are domiciled here in Nigeria. Some very scary figures.
It is. It is worrisome. I mean, it's cause for serious concern for every Nigerian.
Indeed. What are your thoughts in terms of how we have handled this so far? I mean, when we look at how far we've come, let's even start from this year. Let's not go too far. Let's start from January this year, because the threat, it would seem, a lot of people started getting the feel of it, maybe from when NSARS started. Yes, there was COVID and then lockdown and all of that, but from NSARS, there was a bit of apprehension in the land, and of course the satisfaction being expressed there. That was towards the end of last year. And then from the beginning of this year, when we saw banditry on the rise, the fact that students were now being taken, with reckless abandon, and then we saw then in the southeast of the country, we also saw what's happening in the southwest of the country, places that had hitherto experienced some relative peace and calm, coming under some form of attacks that were going on unchecked, raised the concern of a lot of people. How would you say that the state has responded to these attacks? Have they been convincing in the response?
It's in terms of responses to what we see almost on a very regular basis now, ability to try and pursue maybe kidnappers and all that, attempt to locate them and stuff like that. Yes, it's a small attempt to try and respond, but it's not near what we're expecting or near what we really need at this time. When you look at the quantum of ammunition, 350 million, where do we start from? We have such porous borders. People can come in from anywhere. And of course, there have been agitation. I am one of the believers of those who think Nigeria should allow people to bear their arms. Because when others have ammunition and we are totally helpless, they go on a rampage. For example, if these bandits realize that you might be carrying arms and you have even public transportation, that maybe half of them, and everybody has the right to bear arms, you will see that there will be mutually assured destruction. And it's going to be a way of deterrent. Of course, we've seen it. It's on you can see in modern times a lot of crisis in terms of gun, mass murder, by those people bearing arms. America has the right to bear arms. Every adult You can go in, buy your guns.
Well, we will come to that example
Yes.
shortly. The example of America, which you have stated, the United States of America, and, even the challenge that they are currently facing.
Yes.
So there might be questions as to whether that's the best example that we can point to when it comes to what the solutions to our current challenges should be.
Yeah.
But we'll delve into that when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. Senator Ayo, Arisha is still with us in the studio, and you were just citing the example of the United States of America,
yes.
saying that you think everybody should be allowed to bear arms in this country. Then we will know that, okay, we have mutually assured destruction.
Exactly.
It's called MAD. It is something that is very, prevalent in international relations when state actors, especially states, are talking about, nuclear weapons. And every state should be allowed to, develop nuclear weapons if they so please. That way, everybody will behave themselves, so to speak.
Exactly.
But when it comes to daily interactions, if we're to look at the example of the United States that has implemented or adopted that particular method, it hasn't quite worked, has it?
Oh, well, there is no situation that is absolute. America is trying to control deadly weapon. It is not the light arms, the type that we're saying we have over 350 million in Nigeria. When you have assault weapons, and you can just go to a store and buy it, that's a completely different scenario. Now, for those people, America is working on ensuring that there is control. You must have proper identification. They must test you, whether you have any psychiatric problem or psychological problem, that you're not just going to take the weapon and start shooting people. These are the areas where they're trying to manage it. But when you sleep in your house, you sleep well, because nobody is just going to come in and kidnap you. Look at what happened in Ekiti recently. They went to a palace and carried a traditional ruler there. So supposing the man has ammunition, they wouldn't know if everybody has the right to bear arms in this country. You'll find out that there will be a level of deterrent on this assault, kidnapping, and all those stuff. It's not the perfect solution, but we cannot have a perfect solution because we already have the ammunition within the country. And you look at yourself now. If I sleep in my house and we have situations already in Niger State, like we just mentioned, anything can happen. Abuja is not absolutely...
That is not...
I'm also the citizen.
So that might answer some questions. I mean, yes. We've had this proposal that you're bringing forth now, even being put forward by some governors. I've heard the governor of Taraba State, the governor of Benue as well, saying that Nigerians should be allowed to carry arms. But when we look at this sort of security situation that we're currently facing, it might, and that's a very big might, answer some of it, or make some people feel safe. However, the majority of the security crisis that we have right now are on institutions, say educational institutions, when bandits go and, pack students in their numbers away from their schools in the dead of the night. How does everybody owning arms solve that kind of problem? When they go to police stations, these are places that ordinarily have their own arm and ammunition.
Yes.
And they go there and they raid the place. They burn it. And that's what we've seen in the Southeast. That has happened more than once now. It even happened yesterday. You see policemen who traditionally are allowed to carry bare arms, being killed, mercilessly, it would seem. How is this solution going to stop this sort of hemorrhaging?
You're absolutely right in the situation where police stations are targets. Now, if that were just to be the only problem, the government can begin to fortify those police stations. There are many of these police stations in the rural areas that this ammunition we're talking about, many of them You can count the number of guns.
Senator, these police stations that we're talking about, we're not in the rural areas.
Yes,
the
I know, but
police
this
headquarters in Imo State, next to the government house,
where this
came under attack.
That is a very worrisome scenario. If they could go and attack next door to the governor's house. But now that it has happened, you will know that they will have a solution. It's either you fortify those police stations and ensure that you train the policemen and give them proper ammunition, to repel such. I was just listening to the, was that the Deputy Commissioner of Police or Commissioner of Police on TV just a few minutes ago, that they were able to repel them. They killed some, and those ones too wounded some. It is not a normal situation in any country. So this has to be nipped in the bud because it can escalate to something much more serious.
Nipped in the bud?
Yes, it has to be. Right now, when you look
full-grown flower,
if it is full-grown, then that means we're already at war. But let's hope that we can still do something to ensure that those people, if we're able to apprehend them, and you fortify the police stations, but the question is, when you fortify police stations, how many policemen do you want to distribute around to guide every Nigerian? That is why I was advocating it's possible for this situation to be tempered down a little bit. For people, if you know that somebody you are trying to attack has some form of defense, then you will think twice. The planning will be longer. I believe these police station attacks were a little bit, they might have planned it, but it's a surprise to the police stations. Otherwise, they should be, now most police stations would be prepared that this can happen. And I believe they would have sufficient defense in terms of ammunition and support. Maybe the military will have to go and start moving in that direction to ensure that you don't just wake up, go and raid down a police station. What is next? If you're able to sack the police station, then we're all in problem.
I mean, just last week, we buried 11 soldiers in Benue. Yes, that is still a very sore point there. But let's quickly take this to Lagos now, because my colleagues have another guest on standby. Gentlemen.
Well, yeah, we do have Honorable Tajuddin Yusufu, who's a former chairman, House Committee on Capital Markets. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program. Well, having seen where we are, there's been several calls as to what to do, how to do it, but it just appears as though we don't seem to perhaps decide on what exact steps to get us the kind of results that we require. Well, Senator is advocating, everyone will be allowed to bear arms. That's amending the Firearms Act. What's your impression of what we should be doing and how?
Thank you, Chamberlain. What the Senator is advocating is a reflection of the frustration that Nigerians are confronted with because there is total collapse of governance. What we are seeing today is a cumulative effect of insensitivity, neglect, and deliberate attempt to undermine the system that you lead. When people complain of these arms, how did they get into Nigeria? They got into the border. How was the border are now so porous that such things get in without them being checked? It is not, I will not be part of those who will say it just started and been ongoing. Unfortunately, I'm being bold to say that under this present leadership, it became something else. Somebody was talking about body language when you were talking about judicial autonomy and what have you. The body language of the president encouraged these tendencies. How? What do I mean? You nobody open his border to people for people to come in unchecked, and when you attempt to check them, the unfortunate scenario of trying to say they are from this side or from not this side. It's only in Nigeria that a foreigner comes in unchecked and he gets citizenship ahead of those who are born in Nigeria. National ID card, if you go there today, working from any of our country, neighboring country, you get it easily. Once you have the right affiliation, ethnic-wise, religious-wise, we set up people. So what you are saying is that we have emboldened criminality. We have told them that you can do it here and go scot-free. Before now, in my own neighborhood where I grew up, and which I know Senator Alise will confirm. He's from Ikita, from Kogi, Kaba in Kogi State. The Fulani herdsmen live with us peacefully. When they want to go angry on your farm, they will tell the owner of the farm ahead of time that after you harvest, we are coming. They will pay for it. They will pay. If you have issue with them, mere reporting them to traditional rulers is enough to check them. But now, if you have an issue with a Fulani man in your area, or herdsman, believe you me, the police will advise you to abandon the case because the network is so strong that they will make the police, DP or whoever handle the case pay for doing the right thing. So what we are seeing is a symptom. We should go and cure the main issue by the government taking responsibility and checkmating our borders and making the law a leveler. Making the law a leveler. What we do in this country presently is that we play politics and make mockery of serious matter. The governor of Benue State was chased, harassed. That's the chief security of the state. Did you hear anything? Was there anything said from those who should, rise to the occasion? And a group came up and took responsibility. What did we do? Nothing. So we will not get out of this until we genuinely have leadership who are committed to securing this nation and see Nigeria as one, not where you come from, not your ethnicity, not your religion, not your background of political tradition. The moment you become the leader of this country, you are the leader over those who voted for you, those who voted against you, those who like you, those who don't like you. Because posterity will not judge you based on who like you, does not like you. They judge you based on what you did as a leader. So I want to say that, yes, Birmingham is a issue. That's what even happening now. That's why you find the youth going to criminality to check themselves. How does it sound that you are a neighbor who was a young person? Some people walk in to kidnap your mother, your brothers, your sisters. You can do nothing. What does it sound? It takes special grace not to go into criminality in an attempt to check such tendencies. So
what do you
it's a
say,
failure of governance.
What do you say to the school of thought that believes that politicians appear to be either playing the ostrich or that there is a plan somewhere, some people are working on something? Because if we've got over 300 million arms out of, they say, 500 illegal ones in the country, and then they just say, look, well, they may do what they can with all of this rhetoric up there, but down there, people are just getting themselves ready because they seem to have lost faith and hope with the security agencies as things stand.
I agree absolutely with you. That a lot of us politicians are playing the ostrich, they know with body truth. A lot of they say different things on platform and do different things. When they get to their environment or with these people. And I agree with the school of thought that believe that there is an agenda, because I don't see why these things will be so unchecked this long. It is before now. It used to be secluded areas, maybe one part of the country and what have you. Now we have armed men in every nook and cranny of Nigeria. Tell me where you come from. Go to the forest of your place, you find armed men. Majority of them are not Nigerians. Majority of them are not Nigerians. They find themselves into the hinterland, and the system protects them. So I want to assume that there's an agenda. I suspect that there's an agenda, and that agenda is to undermine the statehood of this nation, Nigeria. Unfortunately, it will not be anyone good. Even those who plan it, those who execute, and those who are supposed to be victims. None of us. And for those of us who are in political office who think that this is mere politics and rhetoric or it's an opportunity for advantage, I make bold to say that none of us, I repeat, none of us will be spared. Because what is coming is beyond what you're imagining.
So if you could just elaborate on that, what is there to gain in undermining the statehood of Nigeria, as you said? What is the game plan? There's a lot of talk about 2023. Is that the game plan? Is it beyond that? What do you see, really?
I see beyond 2023. I'm even scared we're going to have in 2023, the way things are going now. It's not about 2023. It's about the psyche of certain people who feel they should maintain certain advantage. there are this tendency that feel that certain resources that is seen as belonging to one set of people should be theirs, and that there is a sense of superiority complex that some people want to bring down everybody. We must realize that God has a reason why He created us together in this church, and that where your own rights stand, where that's where my end, where my own end just start, and that there must be a mutual agreed respect for each other. Sincerely, I have not seen that. I have not seen that from the present leadership of this nation. I've seen an attempt by the leadership of this nation to have a double standard, to allow certain tendencies to take advantage and refuse to act as a when due. They will come with rhetorics. I ask you a question. What was said about what happened to the Benue governor? Tell me, can anybody remember if anything was said or action was taken? What about those who came out to say, we did it? What happened to them? Or when you have this kind of thing and others are watching, they begin to, every human being does not want to is inferior.
I think the news is out there. The police did set up a committee. The army have gone there to set up a post, and so the army and the police have responded, and so that investigation is going on.
Responded to what? I said a group came out. A group came out to take responsibility. Have you forgotten that we did it? Hello. The Southeast, they were the incident. IPOD denied the prosecution that they were the one behind it. But the police say, you are the one that behind it. We have to say that. But a group came out that we were the one that attacked the Benue State governor. Were they invited?
So it appears there's what, double standard? Is that what you're inferring?
All I'm saying is that there must be an approach that is seen as liberal, fair, just. We must, as leaders, demonstrate some sense of equity. Until that is done. Is the National Assembly helpless in this matter? My brother, I must tell you that we are just backing. The National Assembly make motion, make statement, make laws that are ignored. That is the truth.
Does that then mean that, what, they are a rubber stamp?
On the most serious, I can just say, we have a rubber stamp. Yeah, there's still one or two persons who rise to the occasion to air their view, either you like it or not, or it's adhere to or not. But I want to believe that we should do much more better. We should do much more better. I give a classical example. In the National Assembly, the both chambers of National Assembly, on several occasions, made certain statement about the former service chiefs, about their capability and inability to deliver as a well-being. Unfortunately, after they were removed and when the whole country mounted the same common pressure on the presidency, they were instantly given appointment. What that's telling you? That to say that we reward such inadequacies. So you can go to an office, misbehave, and whatever. And don't forget that those service chiefs left after about 5-6 sets of their junior had gone on retirement. Do you know that got to the psyche and the morale of officers? Then should the National Assembly clear such men of a truth? Are we supposed to claim men we have indicted?
Let me take this to Senator Rishi in Abuja. I mean, you've listened to Honorable speaking about major issues, talking about rewarding, according to him, inadequacies. He talked about rewarding inadequacies, spoke about the body language of the president specifically, and a couple of other things. Double standard. I'm just trying to use the terms he used so you can respond to that. He has spoken about these issues, and for a lot of people, it resonates with them. So I'd like you to respond to those issues, but we have to take this break. So please join us again. So yes, there's also that angle of illegal arms proliferation. But Senator Rishi, I'd like you to respond pointedly to the issues raised by Honorable Yusuf.
Can you hear?
Can you hear me? I want you to respond. I mean, just before we went on that break, I was building up to the question. So if you could respond to the issues raised about perceived double standard, rewarding inadequacies, the body language of the president, he was particular about that seems to be fueling a lot of the crisis we're seeing in the area of insecurity. So could you respond to that then?
Thank you very much. TJ dwelled more on the political side of the issue. But the way I look at this is we've had several presidents, and the issue of security had lingered in this country. It's getting worse and worse by the day. But I look at the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria today. We should ask us, as individuals, are we helping ourselves? Are we helping this country? Are we helping the government? For example, the government decided on this name registration so that we can identify ourselves. But already, you put Nigerians as agents to do registration. They will be looking for loopholes on how to sabotage the process. At the IDP camps, the agents could do what we call a bypass for somebody like an amputee because they don't have fingerprints. And you discover that within the space of about 3 months, there are cases close to 200,000 bypasses. They're just registering people. But the good thing is that NIMC has a system, and they've been able to detect this. And all those will be wiped out. And those agents will not get paid, for such. These are efforts of the government to combat some of these problems. But these are being done by Nigerians.
So do you agree with him?
Ammunition to Nigeria.
Just a moment.
People import ammunition to Nigeria. Who are these people importing them?
Right. Well, Senator, do you agree with that point? Pardon me. He raised points about rewarding inadequacies. He raised points about. Pardon me. I want you to respond to those points before we wind down. And I'd like to know if you agree with him or not. The rewarding of inadequacies he spoke about, the body language, double standards that he perceives from the president. I mean, you said he went political, but this insecurity situation is what everybody sees. I don't think it knows who is APC or PDP. So, responding to those points specifically, do you agree with him on that?
Oh yes, if we are discussing unemployment, which is a major problem fueling this insecurity, I would totally agree. When maybe it's only one president that we can rightly say that it's not been a little bit partisan in terms of favoritism, and that most people would acclaim Obasanjo for that. But if I were president today, the chances are that it's those people that I know. But this is not right. We know that is not right. But is it the reason for this proliferation of ammunition? Is that the way we are going to change the orientation of the man there? So for us, once we continue to make and to advocate and challenge these processes and say, look, this is not right, and the press is playing quite a good role. Individuals are doing that. But I do not think that that is the cause of this serious problem of ammunition and insecurity. But it has its own it has its own role to play there. But I think if we are going to be sincere to ourselves, we as Nigerians, we owe ourselves that responsibility. Because that is not why some people are burning police stations in Imo State. It cannot be. So if we know this issue of the fact that appointments somehow has not been truly national, if that is what it's saying, fine. But that is not the cause of this security.
Now, some people will say that perhaps, inadvertently you hit the nail on the head when you talk about Nigerians. You say we as Nigerians.
Exactly.
In recent times, they were saying that some people have begun to see themselves as other than Nigerian. And that's, it's a big issue. It's what's happening in the Southeast. It's also we saw that happen over the weekend when people started clamoring for another state in Ibadan, the Oyo state capital. Big issues as to whether or not people are owning up and answering that name, Nigerian. But Senator, it's an ongoing conversation.
Oh, yes.
We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Today this morning. Senator Ayo Arise is been speaking with us here in the studio. We've also had with us Honorable Tajuddin Yusuf, who is the former chairman House Committee on Capital Markets. Honorable, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the program this morning. Whatever it is, answer and own up to your name, Nigerian, if you truly see yourself as that. And ask if you're doing well, by the country and honoring her name. Thank you so much for watching this morning. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Kayode Okikiolu.
I'm Ayo Makide. Have a good day.
I'm Chamberlain, so I will see you next time.